Now we will see some of the more fine-tuning options of the cutout operation. In the panel, which is called CAM Operation Setup, the strategy is basically set. We could switch to other strategy, but we won't do it now. Here I can see if the path will be calculated inside or outside or online. I will choose, for example, online and hit calculate path. Now I can see the path is precisely on the curve. If I choose inside, the size of the cut records is that there is almost no cutting. So I will decrease the size of the cutter, and now I can see I have an inside cut. There is more options. This is outlines count, which will be more visible on the outside. The reason for the outlines count is that you can basically at first clean the outer area if you go outside in, for example, of the object you are cutting, and then the inner area. This helps, for example, if you want to have a cleaner surface or want to avoid jamming of material on or melting of plastic. So as you can see, this path goes first to the outer outline, to this text, and then to the inner outline. But this feature is called experimental because it doesn't cooperate well with, for example, bridges, which I will show in a moment. So that's why it's called experimental. If I switch on use bridges, there is automatic or manual bridge placement. Currently only automatic works well, but I can set width, height, and a minimum bridges per curve and maximum distance between bridges. Let's see what this does. Now we can see that the curve, there are bridges created which look like this. I would probably want them shorter and I would want less of them. So let's set this to 2. Let's set the height to 1 millimeter and the width to 1 millimeter or 0.5 can also be sufficient. Okay, now we can see there are automatically placed bridges. They are not optimally positioned, but yeah, that's a problem of BlenderCam. The next thing we want to see about for fine-tuning this operation is to see some how to use layers and how to use ramping. So I will switch off the bridges now, and I will put my object a little bit lower. Let's say I want to cut deeper, and you can see layers were actually switched on, but we were not cutting deep enough to actually access to see the result. So let's see what happens now if I put the object lower. Now I can see there are already layers. The layers are set to 1 centimeter, so it goes 10 millimeters below surface, cuts one layer, then cuts another one. If I make the layers more fine-tuned, let's see, I have now 5 layers. Okay, but I will set it to 8 millimeters because that's my estimate that I will have approximately the same cutting in both passes. Now I can see there are more options. Operation depth start means how deep actually the operation starts. Sometimes we start above the surface, for example, so I can change this to 1 centimeter. Let's see what this does. Now I can see that actually the operation starts higher and the first layer is already above the surface. Here I have to be careful about the free movement height because it's already because we don't set up exactly material to be more free in setting our operation, but we have to set up free movement height separately. So that's why I need to go higher here, because let's say my material is already 1 centimeter high, so I put this higher. Let's see what this happens. Okay, let's see more options in the cam movement area. Here we have movement times. These are valid for almost all operations, and these are how your spindle goes to your material. So climb is the classical preset, and the spindle rotation is clockwise in 90% of spindles. Free movement height, we've already told what it is. Now if we have first down option, what does it make? That when the cutting happens, the cutter either goes one layer by one layer all the curves, or it cuts one curve all the way to the bottom and then goes to the other curve. So if I switch on first down, I can see one of the fast feeds here disappeared, because it was actually a returning feed where the machine was returning to the first letter again to start again the process. Now I can see the letters would be cut separately, so for example you could take them out already before the end of the cutting, and you also save time on the fast moves. Then there is an experimental feature called ramp in and also ramp out. Ramping is useful when you want to go down into the material and to the side at the same time, for cutters which don't plunge well directly in the direction to in the negative z-axis. So this is what did the ramp in option, where I can set angle of this ramp, and I can also set a ramp out option, which is only for avoiding burns on the material. Sometimes when the cutter goes up in the in your work, the material can get burns on the side. Okay, so to avoid this, I implemented this option, and if I enable it, you can see there is also so the cutter goes now all the way down, and then it goes in the end of the operation. It doesn't go straight up, but also ramps out. This can be useful because of the burn, but also can be dangerous because it can move your piece which already fell out. So be careful about this option, because then it's good to combine it with bridges, for example, because the cutter already goes around a free piece, and this one could move